go. First victim, little smallie. Using the black and purple rooster tail today. Healthy little dude. We're gonna be heading back down to the little bamboo area. I'm just gonna kind of be working it in and out of these logs like usual. Water's a tad bit cloudy still, but not nearly as bad as it was the other day. They did supposedly stock trout just a few days ago, but I haven't been having too much luck with the trout lately. We'll see if we can catch a couple today, but it's been mostly smallmouth the last few days, which is unlike the norm for me. Don't get me wrong, I love catching smallmouths, but usually the type of baits and stuff I throw typically attract more trout than anything. At least in this particular creek. I think up by the parking lot, there was a lady with her kids swimming up there. I think I made her feel bad. I didn't mean to. There we go. Hold that thought. Another nice little smallie here. That's a better fish. Hold on, dude. There we go. Healthy smallmouth. Big old tail on him. Get this guy back in the water here. Off to a pretty good start so far. I've only been here about 10 minutes. 2 fish. Like I was saying, up by the parking lot area, you might still be able to hear the kids faintly in the background. There's a bunch of kids and their mama swimming in the water. And she was like, "We'll be leaving shortly. They'll stop kicking up the water." I'm like, "Oh, you're fine. We're heading way downstream. It's not a problem." That's why I typically don't like to fish near the parking lots, though, because they're typically like popular swimming holes, and the fish don't want to hang out in those places if people are continuously, stirring up the water, making a lot of noise, things like that. They usually move downstream or upstream, so that's why general rule of thumb for me is usually just try to get as far away from the parking lot as you can. Alright, there's a little trout following that in. I might have to switch up the color of my lure if we're hoping to catch any trout today. They don't seem to be too fond of the black and purple on the rooster tails. This is what we're throwing today, so just a silver blade and then black and purple pattern on it. I don't catch too many trout on this pattern, so I might have to switch it up a bit. I had this tied on the other day when the water was a little higher and a little cloudier. Typically I like throwing dark lures in murky water when the visibility is pretty low. Usually I have better luck throwing a darker lure when the conditions are like that, because the fish will rely on silhouettes under the water since visibility is not that good. Blacks and blues and dark browns and things like that will make a bigger silhouette for them to see. Do one more cast here and then we'll go ahead and switch up this lure. Alrighty. Ton of little minnows swimming under me. Sorry, dudes. There we go. Nice trout. Oh, it just came off too. Has a nice trout. Man. Hooks look okay. It must have just been a bad hook set. Just caught him the wrong way. It's a good fish though. That was easily 2-3 pounds. See if anyone else is down there. Little baby trout nipping at it. Good tip for you guys if you're ever fishing in a similar setting like I am with these streams. Anytime you have like a body of water that's going straight and then it's hitting a corner and then kind of coming around a bend like this is here, the deepest spot is always going to be right up against that wall. If that water's hitting that wall with a bunch of force and it eats away at it. That's why you get these kind of deep holes along the corners and the walls of these bends. So anytime you see like a bend in a creek, it's usually a good spot to kind of hit and fish around, especially when the water's low. So that current's usually making those deeper areas there. You can actually kind of see it where the current is picking up speed-wise, right along the furthest side there. So when the water's really low, fish like trout are going to be in those deep spots trying to keep cool and keep oxygenated. They're going to be where the deeper, more lively water is. It's not a guarantee. I'd say 9 times out of 10, that's where they're going to be hanging out when the conditions are like this. Alright, I think ironically that big guy that got away was probably the only dude hanging out in there. He's top dog, that's why he's lasted this long. There we go. Nice little smallie hanging out back there under the sticks. Thanks for playing, dude. We've been hitting the smallmouth for the last few weeks. The trout game turned off and the smallmouth came out and started chasing the rooster tail more. Makes no difference to me. I just like to get outside and catch fish. Ooh, another one just came and bopped it right there in front of me. Those smallmouth are funny. They're so aggressive. They will just hit and hit and hit that lure until they get hooked, and then when that happens, it's too late for them. Other fish, not so much. I guess bluegill will do that sometimes. They're pretty stubborn, but fish like trout and catfish and things like that, when it comes to using the lure, at least they'll hit it once, and if they don't get hooked, then they usually swim off and they won't bite again. Alright, this is the problem spot. Let's see if we can get through here or not. It's not super deep here, but this is very, very steep. We got to get to the other side. Just gonna do a couple casts right here, just real quick. Don't miss any opportunities. Once we walk through there, we're gonna spook anything that's hanging out down there. Okay. See what we can do. Yeah, I don't know if this translates well on camera, but this is about as high as we can handle. Just barely. We made it though. Trying to lift my book bag up over my back, keeping it out of the water the whole time. Another nice little spot just downstream here, past this turbulent water area. Go. Stay on. What do we got? A little creek chub. He hooked himself pretty good. He choked that thing. These guys are especially hard to hold on to. They're not really a pretty slippery fish. Nice little creek chub though. I don't mind catching these guys. Basically a big minnow. Off he goes. It sucks. I wish I could keep going down. There's a lot of nice spots on the other side. I just have no way of getting to them. This water gets super muddy. You can see how thick that mud is that I'm standing in, and it's really deep right here. I don't want to risk getting stuck out there and getting my stuff all wet. This is definitely a spot to hit though once we get the kayak. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and throw on a float rig. Try that for a little bit. It's an easy setup. See if we can get back into some of these harder to reach spots. These fish don't seem to be quite as aggressive today, so maybe, just maybe, we'll have better luck with a bobber and a little nymph jig or something. I keep it really simple with these float rigs too, so I'll get one of these black jig heads here. I get these out of a trout magnet kit. I'm sure you guys have seen those. You literally just tie these on and then you feed a little jig, something like that, onto it, where the hook's exposed on the back, and throw one of those little bobbers on there and cast upstream and just let it float down. That's essentially the rig. Give that a go for a little bit, see if it makes any kind of difference, and if not, well, we tried. That's all we can do. I tend to not fish the float rigs too much just because I can't cast them quite as far. We'll see what we can make happen though. They do tend to get snagged a little more too, so. Alright, I tend to have the best luck with, if I'm using I call these nymphs. I don't know what they actually are called technically, but I like the black and green. I use those a lot, and then I also get some of these Helgramite jigs. I've had quite a bit of luck on these too, especially in late summertime when it really starts to heat up. I've had a lot of good luck with these. I might actually throw this instead of the nymph and see if anything's gonna bite at it. I literally just feed it onto the hook as far back as it can go. Once it gets about like that, I go ahead and pop it through, and then you can slide it the rest of the way. I've caught plenty of trout with these, plenty of smallmouth, plenty of largemouth. It's another pretty versatile bait when the fish aren't being super aggressive or responsive to any of the rooster tails or the spinners or anything like that. And just got this little indicator here. These feed on the side like that. There's a little slit. Then you put your stopper. Each one comes with a little black stopper that goes in like that, and you force it down, and you can adjust your length just by sliding it up and down. It's really simple. That's essentially the rig right there though. Bobber, jig head, and then jig of your choice. We'll throw that all the way back to the car, and actually I'm going to put one of these crawdad. That same trout magnet kit will come with these little crawdad jigs, and if we happen to lose this, I'm going to start throwing one of these too. I'll put this in my pocket. I've had good luck with the crawfish too. See if it makes any difference, and if not, well, we tried, and that is all you can do. There we go. Not a trout, but a nice little rock bass. Counts. Hanging out back there under those logs. Doesn't look like a fish would be back there, but they find their way into the tightest little spots. Good looking fish. Yep. What do we got? It's another smallie. A big creek chub. This is what I was talking about earlier. If we can get this guy up here. These, if I can hold on to him. These guys are so hard to hold on to. Come here, buddy. These creek chubs get pretty sizable. Compared to that first one that we caught, this guy's about 4 times his size. He's just hanging out back there. Cool fish. Again, some people consider these a trash fish. I don't really mind catching them. Let's go ahead and get a release on this guy. Don't know if you guys can see this, but we got a ton of little baby frogs. All those tadpoles hatched finally. These little guys. Just tiny little things. Not even the size of my fingertip. They're everywhere down here. Another one. I don't know if my camera's focusing in on them or not. It's hard for me to tell. See if I can catch one here. How small he is. I'm not a frog guy. I don't know what kind of frogs these are, but a few weeks ago we came down here. There's a ton, I mean just a ton of tadpoles in this area, so there's tens of thousands of these baby frogs just bouncing around everywhere. You might be able to see them. I mean, they're all over the place here. It's really cool. I was able to catch one of them. These guys still have just the tiniest little tail on them, so not fully out of the frog phase yet. If I can get my camera to focus here. He's so tiny the camera won't even focus on him. They're bouncing around everywhere here. I'm gonna go ahead and let this guy go. One little dude. Alright, he is safe and sound back with his brothers and sisters hopping around everywhere. Pretty neat stuff. And as you can see, there are a ton more tadpoles getting ready to do the same thing. They start growing their little legs and climbing up out of the water. How you guys doing?
You just missed it, man.
What's up?
Party.
Oh.
Two state troopers, ambulance, everything.
Oh, really?
Missed it.
Is there a car wreck?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was way downstream. I thought I heard someone wreck up here.
Yeah, man.
That's nuts.
You have a good one. Be safe driving now.
You too. Well, overall, it was another good day of fishing. Unfortunately, we ended up losing quite a few decent-sized trout. That happens. Just part of it, unfortunately. Still ended up catching quite a few fish, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I'll see you guys on the next one.